In this video, I'm going to show you how we've generated over $1 billion in pipeline by building a signal-based outbound engine for B2B businesses. You clicked on this video because you want to learn how to revamp your outbound results, and I promise you, you're in the right place. I'm Faizan Saeed, the founder of Outbound Gen, and I've helped countless B2B teams across many verticals and industries transform their outbound systems and build one that actually delivers results at scale. This is the only video you'll find on YouTube that walks through a strategy that's generated over $1 billion in pipeline. You will not find this anywhere else. By the end of this video, you'll have everything that you need to implement this into your own sales process. And I'll show you how we did this without adding any operational complexity. All right, guys, so how we replaced broken outbound systems with a signal-based engine that's generated over $1 billion for B2B businesses. Now, who is this for? First of all, if you're a go-to-market team at a seed to Series C B2B startup, or you're a B2B service or a B2B product business that's in need of more leads, more demos, more sales appointments, or if you're just a founder who's trying to build a predictable outbound engine, you're in founder-led sales right now and you're trying to build that out, or maybe you're a marketing or a sales leader and you have an SDR team, but they're getting inconsistent results, right? Or they're struggling, or they're just not performing as well as they could be, right? Or maybe you're a team who's tried agencies, or you've tried to do this stuff internally. You've tried internal outbound, but you've just gotten burned and you've just haven't gotten results. Now, this is what you're going to learn in this video. First of all, we're going to go through why most outbound fails today. We're going to break down what's broken and why response rates are tanking right now. And then we're going to talk about how we've rebuilt outbound for other go-to-market teams, for other B2B teams from the ground up, and the core pivots that we've created and that we've had to make to hit 1 billion plus added in pipeline for our clients, which is not a small number. It's a number that we're really proud of. And then we're going to go through some case studies of B2B teams getting results. So I'm going to walk through some actual real stories, some real before and after, some real stats, and some actual outcomes that companies just like yours got from working with us. And then I'm going to go through some workflows that you could steal from us right now and implement right after this video. So these are going to be some workflows that we've implemented for customers. And the goal of these is to just start getting you results very, very quickly. So if you implement these, you'll be able to get some results really fast. And then the last thing we want to end off with is how to start fixing your outbound in the next 30 days. And then some action steps, and then how we could potentially build the system for you, right? Now, let's start with number one, why most outbound fails. Now, guys, the reason why most outbound fails, guys, is because, number one, most teams that I do, every time I do an audit, they're doing generic messaging across like 10 different industries that they're targeting, right? Or they just don't have a clear ICP, right? They don't know exactly who their ideal client profile is, and they don't have a tiered account strategy, right? Your different accounts should be in different tiers. Like there should be tier 1 accounts, there should be tier 2 accounts, and tier 3 accounts, right? And a lot of companies don't understand that, and they don't know that, and they just think that the same message or the same strategy is going to apply across all of your accounts, right? Now, another reason is that there's no intent or signal-based triggers, right? You're not using any intent signals. You're not using any signals. You're not using any triggers in your marketing or in your sales, which is a huge mistake, right? Especially in 2025, right? Because the landscape has completely changed. And then another reason is you guys have SDR teams, but they're stuck, right? They're doing the same things every single day. They're doing manual prospecting, manual cold calling. They have outdated workflows, if they even have workflows, right? They're probably doing automation themselves. They're probably building personalized campaigns themselves. Maybe they're even going in clay, building out clay tables, trying to do all that stuff, right? My thing is, and this is what I tell all my customers, SDRs should be focused on tasks. They should know exactly what they need to be doing every single day, and everything should be given to them. They shouldn't be spending time building out workflows, campaigns, personalization, all of that stuff, right? Now, another reason, and this is very simple, but it's actually the root cause of a lot of companies not getting any results, are deliverability issues, right? You're not even landing in the inbox with your outbound, right? So this is a huge problem. And another one is just you don't have any feedback loop and you don't have any campaign testing process. Now, what I mean by that is you're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. You don't really have a scientific or any method right, to actually track what you're doing, what you're sending, what angles you're doing, what copy you're doing, what subject lines you're doing, and then you have no way to actually interpret that data, analyze that data, and then make decisions based on that data. So there's no feedback loop, right? Now, this is how we fix that problem for all of the B2B teams that we work with. Number one is we need to solve deliverability before sending, and that's the first thing that we fix. And then number two is we actually pivoted to something. So instead of just doing cold outbound, we pivoted to something that we call all bound, right? So there's two different variations of that. It's cold, and a part of that is finding message market fit. And then it's warm, which are building outbound workflows and intent signal campaigns. And don't worry, guys, I'm actually going to go through all of these step by step. So if these don't make sense right now, just keep going through the video because I'm going to go through everything. And then the third thing that we did is we created daily SDR workflows using Clay and Smart Lead, okay? And that addresses the bottleneck of our SDRs doing everything, and it takes them from doing everything to just focusing on their tasks and focusing on converting demand into demos, right? That's what they should be focused on, okay? And that's what we did. Now, first things first, let's talk about deliverability. So guys, if you can't land in the inbox, literally nothing else matters. Nothing matters. And I can spend a whole video talking about this, and I probably will. But instead of doing that, I've just created a full doc that shows you how to build a proper infrastructure in-house so that you can land in the inbox from day one. If you click the first link in the description below, you can just go and get that. It's just going to be a checklist and a full to-do, our full deliverability protocol on every system and everything that we implement for our clients to make sure that we land in the inbox from day one. So I'll probably make a video on this in the future, but just for time's sake, you can just go and get that. Okay, guys? But that's the first thing you have to fix is deliverability. And guys, the second thing is pivoting to all bound, right? So in order to have consistent pipeline growth, what we did is we used a two-pronged all-bound approach. So what we did is first, what we want to do is do a more cold. So cold is testing multiple ICPs and messaging combinations to basically figure out what's going to resonate best with your target market, right? We want to create campaigns that test ICP and messaging, and that we want to find which combination actually consistently generates sales opportunities. So that's one way, and we call that cold. So that's going to be like your classic cold outbound, right? But there's a whole scientific method behind that, okay? And then second, we want to actually maximize your existing marketing efforts. So if you have inbound, if you're doing anything like that, if you have content, we want to maximize the stuff and amplify the stuff that you're already doing, right? By implementing some stuff called like website identification and right ad review workflows. So what those things do is they capture high intent buyers who are actually already engaging with your brand. So by combining those two things, it becomes very, very powerful. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the first approach. The first approach is basically finding message market fit via cold outreach. So what we essentially do here is we have a 4-step process. We want to research your personas. So we want to basically figure out what are the personas you're currently targeting. And then next we want to bucket those. So we want to basically segment those into different buckets based on pain points, based on desired solutions, based on whatever, right? And then we want to craft messaging for those specific personas, right? So we want to figure out what is that specific persona struggling with? What does our product or service help them with? And then we create a one-of-one message for that specific persona. And then we go to market for that, right? We go to market with that message and we see if it actually resonates. And if it does, we scale it. And if it doesn't, we try something else. But that's the first approach. That's essentially classic cold outbound, but we added more of a scientific approach, a scientific method to that approach. Now, the second approach, and this is like the first part, is personalized outbound workflows. So what we want to do here is we want to design an outbound workflow or design multiple outbound workflows that use intent signals and personalization at scale, okay? So examples of these would be running outbound competitive displacement campaigns with tech stack data. So what that is like you're running outbound to your competitors, right? People who are using your competitors, and you want to try to find, you want to use tech stack data to see if they're using your competitor and then send campaigns to your competitors, right? We've done this for a bunch of our clients, and it actually does really well, especially if you have an edge over your competitor that we can highlight in the messaging, okay? And then another example is finding or qualifying and enriching people who have liked LinkedIn posts that mention your company, right? So maybe your company has LinkedIn posts, maybe your CEO, your founder, or growth leader, or someone in your company is posting on LinkedIn, right? We can take that data, we can qualify it, and we can enrich it, right? And then we can create workflows and outbound campaigns based on that, right? And then we can also automate LinkedIn connection request messages referencing past posts, right? So for example, if someone has tagged your company in a post, right? If someone's referenced your company in a post, we can automate LinkedIn connection requests to those people as well. We can also personalize LinkedIn messages and emails using prospects' recent thought leadership and posts. So if they've posted something specifically, right, we can highlight that post and use it as personalization in our outbound. And then the last one that I just want to go through quickly is just turning your website visitors into leads by filtering every visitor and enriching it. So if it's a good lead, if someone comes on your website, we filter it to see if it's a good lead and if it's your ICP. If it does, we can put them in an outbound campaign and we can push that to your SDR team so that they can reach out to them and get that demo booked, okay? Now, the second approach and the second part of this is signal-based targeting, right? So the question that we want to answer is, what intent signals can we track? So some examples of intent signals would be if a company just fundraised, if a business just is hiring for a specific job title, if a company is growing headcount year over year, growing revenue year over year, or maybe they just newly hired for a specific job title that you guys help or that you guys target specifically. Or maybe they even filed for something specific for their business, right? And then we can literally have access to specific public government registries, and then every time a company files a specific document there, we can scrape that data. That's like an intent signal that some of our customers use. And then running, like, what if your customers are running ads on a specific platform, or what if their website is hosted on a specific platform? So I just want you guys to think about these things, right? What are different intent signals that we can track, right? What are different triggers? What are different signals? What are different intent-based signals? Whatever word you want to use for it, what can we track that's public facing, that we can scrape, that our customer would be a good fit, that we can scrape that, track that, and build outbound campaigns based on that, right? I want you guys to just think of these ideas in the back of your head as you're watching these videos, because this is what's really going to take your outbound to the next level and get you guys way more leads, okay? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the SDR workflows. So you remember how earlier in the video I talked a bit about how SDRs are kind of jumbled. They're just doing so much, like manual prospecting and building clay workflows and doing personalization and doing account research, and they just have so much on their plate, right? So the old way is, and even this, right? An old way would be like an SDR has a list, right? You just give them a list from your CRM, or you just give them a list from Seamless or Apollo or ZoomInfo or wherever you're using. The SDR cold calls that list. They update their CRM, and then they're going to wait for some inbound leads to come in. They're going to call their inbound leads, and then they're going to update their CRM, right? It's very choppy. There's no signals, there's no workflow, right? This is the new way. This is the way that we've integrated and the way that we've built the system for our clients, right? So this is the new way. A lead comes in from an outbound engine that we build, right? What happens is that lead gets enriched and it gets pushed to your CRM. And then your SDR gets tasked and tagged with a call. And then that lead gets also put into a cadence with SDR tasks so that SDR can continuously follow up, right? And then another one would be, let's say a website visitor comes through, and then they pass the ICP filter, which shows that the lead is actually someone who's in your ICP and is a good fit for your product or service. That lead would get enriched and then pushed to the CRM. And then the SDR would get tasked with the call, and then the lead would get put into a cadence with SDR tasked. And all of this would be happening while it would be in an outbound sequence as well. So they would be getting hit from multi-channel, which is the whole goal of all of this stuff. Right? Now, all leads would be delivered to your SDR team through automated CRM workflows. We want to optimize everything for speed to lead, and this is going to allow your team to focus on what matters most, right? Which is converting qualified prospect into demos while they're most engaged, which is high intent. Speed to lead is very, very important, and that's what this system is going to help you to do, right? Now, I want to walk through, guys, some of our case studies and customer results just to actually show you like what we've actually implemented for our customers, right? So this is a customer who we've actually helped generate over $10 million in revenue in 3 months. Now, the reason why we've been able to generate them $10 million is because they are going after enterprise companies, so their deal sizes are very big, right? Which also means we're doing more of an ABM approach, but it still works, right? So let me walk you guys through some of their problems, right, that we actually help them fix. So before working with us, they didn't really have any outbound motion, right? They kind of did. They were just doing stuff on HubSpot, right? But most of their leads were coming from partnerships, right, and inbound referrals and their team's personal network, which was not repeatable at scale, right? But they wanted to have a cold outbound or a cold acquisition funnel or traffic that's coming in that can convert into revenue, right? That was their problem. And what we were able to do for them is generate them 10 million in revenue. But how did we do that, right? We did a few things. We defined their ICP and we bucketed it the same exact way I just walked you through before, right? And then we crafted an irresistible offer. So instead of just pushing, hey, do you have 10 minutes to talk this week? Or do you have 15 minutes to talk? Or do you want to have a demo? We actually just created a front-end calculator offer, because what this company's offer was is they actually just helped companies save money, like on their payments, right? So what we would do in our emails is we just say, hey, we built a calculator that shows how much we can save you. Like, we can show you how much we can save you. Do you want us to send over how much we could save you, right? And that made it very attractive, because companies would just be like, yeah, send it over, right? Or we would just say like, hey, we can save you $100 million or $50 million in payments by doing XYZ. Do you want us to show you how we can do that? And people would be like, yeah, sure, right? And then we built a system that was able to send thousands of emails every single day without landing in spam, right? And we built out all the signals and all the website tech stack, right? So for example, these companies that they were reaching out to, they had to be had a specific tech stack. They had to be using a specific tech stack. So what we did is we used Clay and built workflows to find all the companies using that specific tech stack and then reached out to them. That was an intense signal and it crushed, right? We were able to add over 25 billion in GMV, which is gross merchandising value. That's how they predict their pipeline. That's how they build their pipeline. We were able to add $25 billion of that, and we were able to generate them $10 million in revenue. And they closed around 3 deals with these huge whale companies, and we generated them around like 27 qualified opportunities, right? So that's one. And then another one, which is completely different than the first customer, is we got 200 conversions in 6 weeks for a front-end offer, right? So this was actually a B2B product company, right? This was not a service company. This was not a SaaS company. This was a B2B product that sold to med spas, right? They were running Meta ads, which are Facebook ads, to like a free trial kit. Now, what we were able to do is we were able to generate them campaigns that generate 10 to 15 leads every single day, and they're still generating 10 to 15 leads every single day, right? We were able to do that because we took their TAM, segmented it into different buckets, used Clay to build personalization and workflows, and then we used that personalization, that location-based personalization actually, and then we used that to launch a campaign, and now we're getting 15 leads every single day. So this doesn't just work for SaaS companies, for service-based companies, it also works for product companies as well. And the last one I'll go through is we actually generated 127 sales opportunities in 2 months for a fintech startup, right? So this fintech startup was new. They had a few big customers, but they were still lacking that cold acquisition funnel, right? They didn't have any outbound. A lot of their stuff was network, but they were going to a lot of events, right? And that's a key thing that I really want to talk about, right? So they were going to a lot of events and meeting people face to face. And then a really big way that we were able to generate them a lot of these results were we leveraged these events for them, right? We would basically build outbound campaigns around every single event that they go to, target the people that they want to meet with, build lists and scrape all of the apps to find the people who are going to those events, and then be booking 10, 20, 30 meetings at every single event that they went to, right? And then we also researched signals and triggers that we could look for that would increase their lead score, basically, which would just basically tells us who is an ICP fit and who's not. And that allowed us to build signal-based campaigns as well. And that allowed us to generate 127 sales opportunities in 2 months, right? Now, guys, let me show you guys some more campaign metrics. So these are just some campaigns that we've run for other customers as well. And I just want to show you what's possible once all this stuff is aligned, right? So for example, this is 160 leads contacted. We had 30 replies and 24 leads generated from 160 leads. And some of these leads included Nike, Skechers, P&G, and like these really big companies. So this campaign alone generated 2.5 million in pipeline, right? Another one, events, right? They walked away from 10 meetings post-event and they closed the largest shipping and carriers, DHL, UPS, FedEx. You've heard of these companies. This is what's possible with Outbound, okay? And then another one, competitive advantage. Like I said, reaching out to companies who, reaching out to people or other companies who are using competitor technology, right? And then using this, we were able to book AG1, Obvi, Neuro, Bloom, Magic Mind, which are huge companies as well, right? And then, and so on. So now, guys, I want to go through 4 workflows that you can actually steal from us and build today, right? These are going to be workflows that you can build on Clay. And the first one that I want to talk about is visitor identity. This is kind of one that I alluded to earlier, but I just want to show you exactly how it works. So essentially what this one does is, what you'll do is you have a website visitor, right? Every time a website visitor comes in, we're going to enrich that domain, right? And then we're going to check if they're in your ICP. If it's not in your ICP, we're just going to end it. We're not going to go any further. But if it is in your ICP, then we're going to enrich that company data. We're going to find the company size. We're going to find if they're using a specific competitor. We're going to scrape their LinkedIn followers. And then we're going to enrich that person, right? We're going to enrich the person that you would reach out to at that company or the person who actually came on your website. And then we're going to do a second ICP check. Right? If they're not the right person, then we're gonna find the right person. We're gonna find the right person who would be a good fit in your ICP, and then we're gonna find their email, and then we're gonna send that campaign to Smart Lead or our sequencer, right? And then we're gonna put them into a campaign. That's an example of a Clay workflow that everyone should build. Another one would be like our LinkedIn followers workflow. So for example, we can scrape every single LinkedIn follower from your company, and then we can do an ICP check, right? If they're, for example, a specific role that you target. If they're not, then we just stop it there. But let's say that 10,000 out of the 30,000 company followers are in your ICP. Then we want to get that person and company data, their name, title, LinkedIn URL, location, website, etc., right? And then we want to enrich their LinkedIn for their latest post, right? So we could use that for personalization, right? And then we want to find their email, and then we can use ChatGPT to create an opener, right, using their latest post on LinkedIn that we could refer to in our email, and then we can send that campaign to Smart Lead. And that's how you personalize Outbound, and that's how you just get way better results with your Outbound, okay? Now, another one is your LinkedIn engagement workflow. So what this does is it identifies LinkedIn profiles that interact with specific brands or personalities, or they just interact with your stuff, right? So let's say that you want to track all the engagement on your founder's LinkedIn page, right? Let's say that your founder has a brand. He gets like 20, 50, 30, 40 likes and a bunch of comments on his LinkedIn post. We can enrich that data, right? First of all, what we want to do every single time is check for ICP. Right? If they're not in your ICP, we end it. If they are in your ICP, we want to cross-check it through your CRM to see if they're in your do not contact. Are they already a current opportunity, right? Are they in your do not contact list, right? Are they already a customer? And if they're not, and if they pass that, then we want to check on their ICP, right? Based on role, right? And if they're not in the ICP, then we want to find the person that is in your ICP, find their email, and then send them to a campaign. And if they are in your ICP, then we find that email, we can connect with them on LinkedIn, and we can send that to a campaign. You guys see how there's just this pattern here where we're always checking for the ICP, and if they are in the ICP, then we can either find personalization or we can find their email, we can connect with them on LinkedIn, and we're always sending them to a campaign or an outbound sequence, right? Now, the last one is one that I really, really think is awesome, and it's like paid ads workflow. So if anyone's running paid ads, you're really, really going to resonate with this. So essentially what it is anyone who visits your landing page and doesn't fill out your form, right? We can enrich that contact. So for example, if they visit your landing page and they fill out your form, you can send them your lead magnet and you can get them through your funnel. But if they don't fill out your form, we can enrich that contact, right? We can de-anonymize that website visitor, right? We can enrich their company domain. And if they are in your ICP, we'll keep going. But if they're not, then we'll just end it. If they're in your ICP, then we're going to find the contact. Again, here's the pattern again. We'll validate the email, right? And then we'll find their email, and then we'll connect with them on LinkedIn, and then we'll put them in an outbound campaign, right? And what this does is it lowers your CAC, right? It lowers your client acquisition cost and allows you to just squeeze way more juice out of your paid ads campaigns. Okay, guys? Now, the last thing I want to talk about, guys, is how to start fixing your outbound in the next 30 days, right? So here is your outbound action plan. So if you've gotten to this far in the video, congratulations, right? Here is your action plan. Number one is building a proper email infrastructure. Again, you can click below to get our deliverability protocol, right? But you need to have a proper email infrastructure if you're gonna do anything that I've talked about in this video, guys. Because if you don't land in the inbox, then nothing else matters, okay? Now, number two, make sure that you're testing multiple ICP and messaging combinations to identify what is resonating best with your target market, okay? Don't just spray and pray. Don't just do generic messaging. Don't just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, right? Do deliberate tests with ICP and messaging combos to see what resonates best. And then number three, you want to maximize your existing marketing efforts by implementing website identification, right? Building the exact workflows that I just showed you in these videos and like in this video with the ICP check and like it all comes down to website visitor identification and then finding if they're in your ICP or not and then sending them to an outbound campaign. And if you're already doing content, if you're already doing inbound, if you're already doing ads, right? People are already going on your website. This is low-hanging fruit, right? So definitely get that implemented, right? And then you want to set up the 4 clay workflows that I just walked through, right? Or if you don't want to do this yourself, guys, and if you want us to build the system and manage it for you, you guys can click the link below and apply to work with us. It'll be the second link below the deliverability protocol. So if you want to get the deliverability protocol, you can go and click the link there. And it'll just show you how to do all the deliverability stuff and set that up in-house. But if you want us to build this system for you and manage it for you, generate leads for you, amplify your sales team for you, whatever you want to do, you want to increase pipeline, we can help you do that. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys got out of this video something out of this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought, and I'll see you guys in the next one.